Greetings to my digital media friends. We are going to make a production company logo using Apple Motion. I'm not going to make it too crazy. Sky's the limit with this program, Motion. I'm just going to get into some of the basics. What's cool about this is we are going to use almost every feature involved with Motion, but we're going to keep it still pretty simple. So my logo will animate on and it plays back like this. Let's just take a look at it. And then it fades out at the end. So let's take a look at how we got this. Naturally, the first thing we're going to have to do is open a program called Motion. I've already got mine in the dock, but you're going to find it in the applications folder or by using the Launchpad. And then with Motion, and really with any program, it's not a bad idea to take a look around at whatever screen happens to pop up into your face first. Well, in this case, it's the project browser. We can make Motion projects, we can make Final Cut effects, generators, transitions, and titles. That's a really cool connection between these two. Actually, by the time we're done with this, it's going to be connected into Final Cut as well. Take a look at the preset over here. Mine might be a little bit different. Make sure yours says Broadcast HD. And as far as the frame rate goes, this is what frame rate our cameras are using. We might as well go ahead and select that. Another thing to pay attention to is that you're going to have a project duration by default of 10 seconds. And if you wanted something different, you might want to change that here just because that's the easiest place to do it. Click Open to start a new project. Now, Motion might look a little bit overwhelming at first. Really, this is a little bit of video editing combined with some layers and different graphic capabilities like you might find in Photoshop, combined with little elements that Motion includes, generators, particle emitters, replicators, bunch of different stuff that you can kind of create into your project. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go up to Window Layout, make sure I have Classic selected. That way I know that our two screens are going to look the same. We've got layers here that are the same down here. We have a timeline, a lot like in Final Cut Pro over here. Well, we're just going to jump into it and we'll start to figure stuff out as we go. Remember, edit, undo will be your friend if you happen to make some mistakes or if you happen to do something and you're not sure what happened, because I'm going to go ahead and go through this pretty quickly. Under the library, I'm going to select generators. And under all generators, I'm going to get down to this one called Color Solid. I can drag this Color Solid generator right into the middle of the screen, and I'm going to wait for it to snap smack dab in the middle of the screen with both the vertical and horizontal yellow lines letting me know I've found the middle. I'm going to use the shortcut Shift Z, which fits my Motion project video into the canvas display right there in the middle. Making sure that the Color Solid is selected, I'm going to click on Window, Show HUD. That stands for Heads Up Display. I like to call it the dashboard because D is the keyboard shortcut, which will make it pop up. So if I close it out, I hit the letter D, it comes back up. This is the area where you can make some basic changes to some of the items that you have selected. I'm going to just select a new color for my Color Solid. I tend to like these blues. I tend to pick from the crayon colors because I feel like I'm going to make the wrong decision if I'm over here. But you do have all sorts of options as far as selecting your colors. And again, making sure Color Solid is selected, I'm going to go up to Filters. I'm going to go to Stylize, and I'm going to choose Vignette. I can bring up the dashboard again by hitting D, and I'm going to make it a little bit darker around the edges. Now I'm going to take just a second to get organized. I'm going to double click on this group and I'm going to call it background. And then I'm going to right click or control click and make a new group called text. And I'm going to right click or control click and I'm going to make a new group called shape. It's always a good idea to keep your layers organized as you work as opposed to trying to piece things together after you've been working on it for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. I'm going to select the text layer. And then I'm going to select the text tool. One thing I want to point out is I haven't hit the play button or moved the playhead at all. If I was to move the playhead, whatever I add with the text tool, it's going to go at this point in the timeline, 3 seconds and 18 frames into the timeline. So make sure you keep the playhead there at the beginning if you want your elements to be included throughout the whole duration of the timeline. I'm going to create 2 text elements and hit escape to get out of the text tool. Now I'm going to get into an area called the inspector. If I select the inspector, that gets me more details about the items that I have selected. With the productions word selected, I can choose center alignment. With Sean Harrell, I can choose center alignment as well. Now if I want to shift click to select both of those, I can go to the object menu, alignment, align horizontal centers. Now I can align the words in the way that I might wish to have them. And then from the inspector or from the heads-up display, I can change the size of the letters. On the word productions, I also chose to change the tracking to spread that out. I'm going to flip down the arrow on the text box and on the background. I'm going to select the shape layer. And from the shape tool drop-down menu, I'm going to choose line. Click and hold, and if I hold the shift key as well, it's going to keep the line straight. And that's my basic logo. One thing I should point out, early and often with motion, go ahead and save your work. Command S. I didn't save it yet, mostly because I already have a version of it saved, but I'm going to go ahead and save it now. Really quickly, I'm going to add some text behaviors, and I'm going to add a little bit of a behavior to this line that went across the middle. In order to add text behaviors, I'm going to flip down the arrow on my text. I'm going to go to Library, Behaviors, Text Sequence. And I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop Arrange In right there. I could also drop it down here if I wanted to. So now I've added this Arrange In to both Productions and Sean Harrell. I'm going to select Fade Characters Random Out, and I'm going to apply those to both text elements as well. The first thing you notice is that both of those little purple clips, they look like the same type of clips that we have in Final Cut Pro. Well, they added at the beginning of the text. That's not quite what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and slide the playhead to the end. And with this Fade Characters Random Out, I'm going to go Mark, Move Selected Out Point. And in this case, I happen to remember that shortcut, Shift right bracket. So now you can watch your project real quickly. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a behavior to the shape. So flip down the shape, select the line. This time I'm going to add the behaviors through this drop-down menu in the middle. Both the middle of the screen and the inspector library area to the left hold the same behaviors. It's just a different way of getting the same result. Go down to shape. I'm going to select right on. One thing you notice about the right on behavior is it's a purple line. It looks a lot like a clip and it goes all the way across the project. That's not what I want. I want it to happen at about the same speed as the Arrange In. So I'm going to park the playhead right at the end of the Arrange In. And with right on selected, I'm going to hit the letter O to mark an out point. Now with the line selected one more time, I'm going to go Behaviors, Basic Motion, Fade In, Fade Out. D is going to open the dashboard to show me that fade in, fade out behavior. I'm going to remove the fade in, and now it's going to fade out over the course of 20 frames at the end of this fade out behavior. So the ending will look like this. So that's the basic production company logo, and I have just a couple more things that I want to do before I make this easily accessible in Final Cut Pro anytime I want it. First, save my work. Then I'm going to park the playhead right after all of this animation, all of these behaviors here that are building the text. I'm going to park it right there. I'm going to make sure nothing is selected. Hit Command-Shift-A to deselect everything. I'm going to hit the letter M. That makes a green marker. I'm going to do the same right before all of these animation elements at the end. M makes a green marker. I'm going to right-click, choose Edit Marker. I'm going to change it to Build In Optional. Click OK. I'm going to right-click on this one, choose Edit Marker. I'm going to change this to Build Out Optional. What we're doing now is we're actually allowing Final Cut Pro to decide if we even want to use these fade in, fade out text build animations that we've done using motion. The last thing we want to do to complete this production company logo from Motion, from the File menu, choose Publish Template. Click Publish as Final Cut Generator. Give it a name. Put it in the Custom category or make a new category, and then select Publish. And now when you open Final Cut Pro, you can select the Titles and Generators sidebar. Scroll down to the category, in this case, Production Logos, and there's your logo. I'm going to drag the playhead to the beginning. I'm going to select the keyboard shortcut W, which is an insert edit, and now I've got a production company logo to start this. I could add a fade in and fade out. I could even zoom in and adjust the timing of it a little bit because I don't want it to go quite that long. And because we've told Final Cut Pro where the animation occurs, it knows how to make that adjustment. There we go. That's a quick look at how to make a production company logo using Apple Motion.